Welcome to another good eReader comparison video. My name is Michael.
This is Peter.
And today we're going to compare the new Mirasol Kyobo color reader versus the Barnes & Noble Nook tablet. First things first, you can see that the Nook tablet is a little bit larger and it's a little bit longer. It's about 7 inches or so, and you look at about 5.7 inches here. Resolution on the Nook tablet, 1024 by 600, whereas this is 1024 by 768. They both run a current version of Google Android 2.3. The big difference is the processor. The Nook tablet has a dual core 1 gigahertz processor, whereas the Mirasol one only has a single core 1 gigahertz, but is a Snapdragon processor, so it's a little bit faster than, kind of one of those cheapo sort of CPU makers. The big difference, internal storage. Nook tablet has 16 gigs, whereas the Kyobo only has 1 gig, but of course you can expand both of these devices via micro SD. Wi-Fi, everything like that. Peter, why don't you walk us through all the hardware?
Alright, so on the front you have actually one of the only tablets with a physical button almost anywhere. You have the iconic N Nook button that has been pretty much on all their devices. This one brings up your menu. And you have the standard Android bezel keys here that are software driven. They are not hardware because they only work when the device is on. Home, right click or menu, back, and search. Looking on the bottom of both, you have USB, micro USBs on both of them. On the Mirasol, you have a micro SD card slot and a 3.5mm headphone jack, as well as a microphone. Moving over to the left, you have the power button on the Nook tablet, and nothing on the Mirasol. On the right, we have both of them have volume up and volume down. You can see right there, and pretty much clean. And on the top, you have the microphone, 3.5mm headphone jack for the Nook color. These are not speakers, these are design pieces. You have the power button and the hard reset button. Moving over to the back, you will notice that the Kyobo has kind of a metallic look here. It is indeed not brushed aluminum, it is just plastic, but it still looks good. On the Nook tablet, you have kind of like a hard rubber, so with an engraved end, so it's very easy to hold, very nice to hold, very grippy. Speaker is something that I've always had a problem with, especially when you have this in a case. The speaker is pretty much flush on the back. There's only one speaker, and it's not very, it doesn't project very well when held pretty much any way it's going to be held. You're going to cover that speaker. Not a big fan, but the audio quality is good. Under the side here, you have micro SD card for the Nook hidden. The speakers on the Kyobo are right here. They're a little bit better because they're on the thumbnail portion of the back of the device, and they project just a little bit better than the Nook color. Not to say the quality is better, but you hear it a little bit more only because they're more open.
Alright, so that's pretty well like the hardware and the specs. They have a lot of similarities in terms of, speakers and headphone jacks and everything like that. But what does the software side of things look like? Well, this is something that we're going to dive right into, starting with the internet experience. And you could really tell a lot by a tablet in terms of how things load, how fast things load, pinching and zooming, and things like that. So we're going to type in a perennial favorite of ours, and I hope of yours too. Type in good eReader, and we're going to load up our blog here. Let's look at how the screens look. First of all, both of these e-readers have the display cranked up to the max, so it's not like this is half full. They're both cranked up to the max. Now, the big difference looking at them side by side, as you can see, the Nook tablet is a little bit more vibrant. Colors show a lot more. The white background is very, very white, and the text stands out, whereas with the Mirasol e-reader, it's a little bit muted. Now, it comes across as a little bit darker on camera. It's actually not as dark as it looks, but it's not that much lighter either. So this is a sort of like a good test. How does pinching and zooming look? Well, let's put them side by side and check it out. So relatively quick. I'd say Nook tablet maybe a little bit more snappier, but that's just because of the dual core processors. Now, both of these tablets are compatible with Flash, although I noticed with the Mirasol e-readers that it does not play embedded YouTube videos. It tries to, but it kind of craps out, whereas with the Nook tablet, of course, watching embedded videos is really no problem at all. So there you go. Let's take a look at the ebook experience, because these are really both billed as e-readers first and foremost. Being color, you can read comics, magazines, newspapers, and everything like that. So we're gonna both load up a book here. It's the same book. Okay, so just taking a little bit to load up. And here we go. So this is what the e-reading experience looks like. We are using Moon Reader on here to load our side-loaded book, whereas with the Nook tablet it uses its default reader. So this is how text looks side by side. I would say overall with e-reading, I almost like it being a little bit muted because it's easier on the eyes. When you have a very bright white screen, you can only read it really for so long before you start getting that eye burn. And I would say that this is you could probably read this for longer and in different environmental conditions, such as reading late at night, reading outdoors in the sun, and so on. Speaking of the sun, let's take a look at just using our studio setup. Really how Mirasol is very much akin to Pixel Chi in the respects that it was pretty well designed to read outdoors without getting a lot of glare.
So we don't have any screen protectors on the devices we're going to show you here. We're going to put two LCD screens to the test here. We have a standard Android phone. We're going to put it up to a light here, and you can see nothing but pretty much the light. We have studio lights here in the Goody Reader studio here, and you can see it wipes away pretty much any cell phone. We have a standard LCD tablet here. We're going to put it up to the light. Pretty much gone. You can kind of see through it at points, but it's basically unreadable if the light is shining at it. Now let's move over to the Mirasol by Kyobo here, and you can see that even with light, full light, you can it doesn't even affect the screen. You can see that the light just kind of doesn't even affect it. You can read almost perfectly right through it. Doesn't matter what screen you're on, doesn't matter what you open, Facebook, browser, it poses no threat. Whereas the Barnes & Noble, put it up to the light, everything just kind of goes away.
Yeah, you can't read anything below it, whereas with the Kyobo, even though that the light's shining on it, you could look at that. That speaks volumes right there.
We're using the same lights. We have a couple lights here. It speaks for itself. We don't really need to say anything more than what we're showing you.
Yeah, totally. All right, so the ebook experience is dependent on what app that you're reading. Both of these e-readers, because they're running Android, allow you to install your own apps. Barnes & Noble has an extensive app store. Recently, they've done a firmware update that limits the apps that you could install, but there are still ways that you could sideload your own apps in. For both of these devices, if you want to get access to apps, check out the new Goody Reader app store at goodyreader.com/apps. We have pretty well about 50 different e-reading applications, comic book apps, essential installs, and a whole lot more. So check it out. What we're going to show you now is...
We're going to go on to some video here. On the right, we're going to open some stock footage of a mountain range. And we will do that at the same time on the device on the left. We're just going to mute this. You can see that they both play video very well although the by default the Barnes & Noble formats its video a little bit better. These are the exact same video. On the right, the Mirasol doesn't do the greatest job of formatting the video, but you can still view it. They're both easy to view. Unfortunately, the colors on the Mirasol are more suited for reading books, magazines, newspapers. You can tell that the vibrancy of the Barnes & Noble is just, there's no comparison. This almost looks black and white.
Yeah, I mean, this is muted and washed, of course. This is much more vibrant. But I mean, you aren't noticing any stuttering. This is high def video. It's playing well.
Yes.
You know, it's just know to expect that. If you want to buy a device where you're going to be doing the majority of your reading outdoors, if you're traveling a lot, going on vacation, you won't have any problems reading video like this by the pool. Although this video is higher quality, it's more suited to be like indoors on the bus, you know, in your car, you know, that sort of thing. So it's really on your environmental conditions on why you would watch videos and consume it more on one place other than the other. So we've looked at ebooks, we've looked at video. Audio experience, not very much to write home about. The default audio player on the Mirasol one, it's pretty well a bar with a pause and play button.
Not even a play button, just the pause button.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas, you know, you see a full audio experience with the Nook tablet. Of course, being Android, you can install Meridian or various other applications on there, but we're showing you basically the stock stuff. This is really what it ships with. We haven't put anything weird on any of the devices other than the content. Speaking of content, how do PDF files look on each one?
Let us open a comic. It should be here somewhere. Here it is. We're going to open the same comic on both. We're going to open DC, Marvel Comics, Batman, and Spider-Man. Let's get that open. There we go. Alright, I just missed it. User error. Once again.
So PDF file on a Kyobo actually loaded up pretty fast.
It did.
I know a lot of people online were saying, well, you know, books and comics and PDFs, they take forever to load, you know, 20, 30 seconds. That pretty well, when we clicked it, loaded up in like less than 5 seconds.
Exactly. You can see that once again, the colors both on camera and with the naked eye look almost monochrome just because of the screen that this device is using, whereas the colors on the left, I mean on the Nook tablet, there's really no contest. Just look at Spider-Man side by side. I mean, there's really no contest as to which one's the more vibrant Spider-Man. But once again, they're both very clear, and in fact this has better resolution, so in essence you're going to get a clearer picture on this. But the colors are another story. But nevertheless, they both display what you put on the devices.
So this is both PDF files, and you can see that pinching and zooming. You can see that you get some of that cropped white background, but you don't necessarily see that on a Nook tablet. Again, it's dual core versus single core, and they both have 512, I believe, MB of RAM. I think that's the case.
The Nook tablet actually has a gig of RAM as well, so it's pretty much doubling up on at least processing speeds higher than the Kyobo.
All right, yeah, you're damn right there. So pretty well, we've ran like all the tests. We have one more to go, and this is a complex PDF newspaper. And of course, these are all the same files that we load in each one. As you can see with the blue colors at the top here, you can see that, you know, it's a big difference. It's a little bit more vibrant again, and that's pretty well the story about these head-to-head, where the Mirasol one a little bit washed, the colors are not as vibrant, but it does make up for that. You can take this and read this anywhere, whereas the Nook tablet, higher, you know, it's a bigger screen. The processor and RAM are enhanced, so you're not seeing a lot of that clipping or artifacting. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Overall, reading experience, you can do it better and longer on this, only because the screen is a little easier on the eyes and it simulates paper a little bit better than the Nook tablet. videos and PDFs and magazines and comics, Nook tablet all the way. I mean, when you're reading comics and PDFs, you want that vibrancy in colors. You want those rich colors. So you're going to want a standard LCD screen as well as dual core processor with a gig of RAM to really make those perform well. Other than that, overall, I think the audio experience is louder on the Kyobo, but better on the Nook, only because of where the speaker placements are. I must say I like the styling of the Nook color a little bit better. This is held true to being one of my best, my number one styled e-readers slash tablets. It just looks a little better. I like the button. I like where they put the screen. I like everything about it. The Kyobo is very nice as well, although I'm not liking the 5.7-inch screen on a tablet. Sure, it's portable, but on a tablet you want a larger screen. I would probably say, I mean, we're not trying to see which one's better. We're just seeing how they stack up next to each other. We're not trying to, kick one out of the ranks here. I would say they're both very good, but my personal preference would be the Nook tablet.
Same here. I'd say Nook tablet just because it does more features longer. If you wanted to read at night, you can turn it into night mode, making the background black, the text white. You can also lower the the display brightness or make it automated. So it pretty well. Again, they're not to see which one is better, but you saw comics, they looked a little bit better on the Nook tablet. Same with videos, and there was less artifacting and clipping, mainly just because of the enhanced hardware. Web pages, load up pretty fast. You're not really seeing any types of major drawbacks with the Kyobo Mirasol eReader, but I do like it in terms of our studio light test, that if you want a device that you're reading out in the sun a lot, or if you're outdoors, or if you live in Hawaii or other places like that where it's like sunny most of the time, you're probably going to get more bang for your buck out of it. The only drawback is the Mirasol e-reader is very hard to get your hands on at this point. It's a South Korean exclusive, and it's called Kyobo because that's the largest bookstore chain in South Korea where this is really being marketed, and so we were lucky enough to get our hands on one. So this has been an exclusive comparison of the Kyobo Mirasol e-reader versus the Barnes & Noble Nook tablet. For all of our future videos or any of our past videos, check out our YouTube channel at youtube.com/user/goodereader, and don't forget to check out our blog at goodereader.com/blog for all the latest news, previews, and reviews. Also our app store, goodereader.com/apps. And so enough plugs for goodereader.com. My name is Michael.
This is Peter.
Everybody take care.